My attitude was there was nobody on the field who was going to be better than me. And I understood there was guys always stronger, faster, bigger and stuff, but nobody was going to be tougher, smarter, and outwork me and have more desire than me. And that's how I approached me playing in the National Football League.
You have to ask yourself the question, are you happy being in the team picture, or do you want to be great?
Say it one more time for the people in the back.
I need to find those players who love football so much and care so much about each other that they'll do anything to make it happen.
Raider Nation, what's going on? Sibley Scoles here. It is time for another episode of Raiders Talk of the Nation. I am joined by none other than Marcus Allen. Let's talk about a Hall of Famer 2003 induction. Super Bowl 18?
Yes, 18.
Super Bowl MVP from
That's
that same.
yeah,
that's why I wore this. And the Super Bowl MVP, the same, obviously, year. NFL MVP, Offensive Player of the Year 1985, Heisman Trophy winner 1981. Are there some that I'm missing?
You're missing quite a few things.
Come
but
on, give me some that come to mind. You don't like talking accolades?
Well, I was the NFL MVP as well. I was Comeback Player of the Year. I was Offensive Rookie of the Year. A bunch of stuff like that. But you know what's interesting is when you're a kid and you dream about these things and they come to fruition. That's what's
Cool.
that's what's really cool.
When did those things start hitting you in your mind where you said, wow, I can take a step back, put myself in the shoes as a kid and realize I'm living my dreams?
Well, at the age of 10, I decided what side of the television set I wanted to be on. I tell people, and I said I want to play and not watch. And so I did everything, right? And I guess I was living the secret before the book was written, right? I stood in the mirror when I was 11 and said I wanted to win the Heisman Trophy. And obviously.
Is this true?
Yes, I had a speech and I said I want to thank the University of Southern California. Yes. Uh-huh. And
when did you first pick up a football?
oh God, it was before 10. I mean, we would watch. My dad took me. Was born and raised in San Diego, guys. So I think it was in '65, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
'66, maybe. My dad took me to Balboa Stadium to watch the Chargers. And then at 10 years old, I was playing Pop Warner football. I played halftime of a Charger game. My dad actually worked on the stadium there.
Nice.
So he's in construction. And so I had this, sort of this magic in, Jack Murphy at the time, or well, I think it was San Diego Stadium, then I went with Jack Murphy, then I went to Qualcomm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so.
Qualcomm is what I remember, yeah.
Yeah, spanned the whole evolution, so it's.
So your dad was part of the planning of that and putting it to the construction of it.
Not planning, I think he just did the,
Wow.
Work the construction and stuff, and so always had good games there. And so it's just, but football was really, it was part of something that I would watch on every Sunday. I would, when we were supposed to go to church, I was like, Mom, I can't find my shoes,
Because the game is on.
Yes, but I wanted to stay home and watch the game and stuff. And so I was just glued to the television set, and everything that we saw on TV, we tried to go out and emulate.
Wow.
In the backyard. And so it was not something that was just sudden. It was something that I was part of, my upbringing. And this was my dream.
Yeah.
That was my dream, to play football.
So from that 10-year-old kid, knowing you wanted to be on that screen, knowing you want to be on that field, making it happen, from there, I guess fast forward to high school, USC, talk about those moments, those steps that you took.
Well, the biggest step for me was when I was a 13-year-old kid. And we were playing the Compton Comets. right? Everybody's aware of the reputation in Compton. And I think the age limit was 13, and I know they had guys that were like 15 and 16 years
Right.
old. We had beat them in San Diego, and now it was our turn to go up and play in Compton, right? Their colors were red, black, and green, right? Black power colors, right? And so I always, when I grew up, I always had this inferiority complex. Not me per se, but I thought that San Diego was junior varsity compared to Los Angeles,
Right.
right? Those athletes were just a step above and everything. And so I went up there, and they said they were going to kick our behinds when we go up there and stuff. And the stands were full of what looked like gang members and things like that and stuff. And I played the game of my life. And then I said to myself, I can play in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I can play with these guys. And so at 13, that was a big thing for me, right? And then in high school, it just, I just kept progressing. And, my senior year, I did some extraordinary things, ended up scoring 5 touchdowns in the CIF championship game. And that was before I was kicked off the team, or rather after I was kicked off the team because I didn't want to play quarterback. And because I wanted to hit people, because I wanted to be like Jack Tatum.
That's who you were.
Yeah. I wanted to be like Jack Tatum. I wanted guys to be scared to death to come in my territory.
Wow.
Yeah, I wanted to intimidate like him, but I ended up playing, offense, and then that just took me in a completely different direction.
Right.
And that led to SC, and little did I know by playing quarterback was going to help me later at USC. Yes.
That's cool. To each step, you were just.
Well, what is interesting is that when I look back and reflect, I feel like none of things happen at a perfect time. Not by my own doing. It's something much larger than me. It just seems like everything just worked out perfectly.
As it should. This is.
And well, I guess when you sort of dream like that, and you're ambitious as a kid, and then you put the work into it, and you believe that's going to happen, and then all these great things happen precisely at the perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I mean that, when I get to SC, I go there as a defensive back, and at that time it is tailback U. It is the most popular position in the nation, not just college football, in the nation, USC running back. Well, I get there. This is what I'm talking about, perfect timing. All the running backs are hurt behind Charles White. They have nobody to practice. Guess who they asked to come over? That's when my running back journey began.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's those opportunities, and you have to seize them, though. You don't just.
Yes.
You still have to show up, and you did.
Well, yeah. I believed in hard work. I didn't.
Yeah.
I understood that nobody was going to give you anything. You had to really work for it, and I really understood passion and what the true meaning of it. And
Oh,
it's
yeah, it's
it's
not
much
just a
greater than
word.
most people. Yeah.
Right. You have to live
most
that.
people think it's something that it's all consuming.
Yeah.
And you have to certainly, I wouldn't call it sacrifices, but there's times that I look back when I was, when most of my friends in high school were hanging out and stuff like that, I would push my dad's car, right, to just strengthen my legs. We had this hill that I would run up. I would go to the beach and run in combat boots. I would do all those things while they were having a good time, but I felt like I had a destination and I was going to get there.
Yeah, and you probably weren't even worried. It was like tunnel vision. I know what I want to do, right?
Yeah, my mother said I was the first one out of the house for sports, but the last one out of the house for everything else. And it was true.
Were they all, knowing how much your dad loved football, Mom was in support of everything
Oh,
too?
yeah, no.
Because she saw the passion and felt it.
Oh, absolutely. It was, let me tell you, the one thing I have great support. And, when I say things fall in place, right? Now that we, talk a little bit about a USC, and I'm sure we're going to backtrack a little bit, but imagine I go to USC, my parents, drive up 100 miles away from San Diego, 2-hour trip.
Yeah.
For 4 years. And then,
Wow.
guess what? I get drafted by the Raiders,
Yes.
who become the Los Angeles Raiders. And so my parents get to see me play for 15 years straight,
That's beautiful.
It just, it's not something that I didn't plan that. It just worked out well.
Wow.
Yeah.
All those moments in
Yeah.
life. And then Heisman as well. Another tremendous honor.
I do remember calling home. I don't remember the specific time. And I got my mom on the phone. My coach is right there. And my coach says, "We did it." The late John Jackson, who I absolutely love. He says, "We did it." And he started crying.
Wow.
And then I called home. My mother's going crazy. I said, "Mom, guess what? We won the Heisman Trophy." She's screaming. And I said, "Okay, Mom, put Dad on the phone." And she said, "Well, he can't come to the phone right now." And I said, "What? What do you mean he can't come to the phone right now?" He said, "He's crying." She said, "He's crying right now." And my father never cried.
Really?
Yeah, so that was a big thing. So I was, and if anybody knows me, I'm jumping ahead, but even at the Hall of Fame, when I got inducted, my dad was the third father ever to introduce his son, right? And the producer came to me and said, "Hey, Marcus, this is when," let me just go back. This is when they had, I don't know how long the show was, but we only had like 15 minutes to speak. It was probably shorter than that.
Yeah.
That we actually had 15 minutes to speak. Then it went to 40, and it's just gone
Now
crazy.
it's a whole production.
Right.
Yes.
So the guy comes to me, and the producer says, "Hey, Marcus, listen here, we're running kind of late, so you're going to have to, be brief on your speech." And I ignore him. I'm not even
brief.
paying attention, right? And then he comes to me again and says it. And I said, "Listen here, I don't care about me. You better get my father on the air. That's the only thing that mattered to me." Because I wanted everybody to know who my father was.
Oh.
Right. Because I didn't come from one of those households that were broken.
He was
you
there.
know.
He was present.
Oh, he was every single day. I mean, I didn't have to look any further than the dining room table for my role models. They were there every night. So
Yeah, again, something that unfortunately not many, not so many
that's
people
why it
can
was so
say.
important, because
Yeah.
I was saying, I don't care about me. Get my father on the air.
Wow. And
What's
you're
it-
smiling.
Well, and the same thing happened at the Super Bowl too.
Yeah.
They said, "What was your greatest moment?" I said, first of all, I was excited, right, that we won. I was more happy for like Alau Alzado and guys, and Greg Pruitt, guys who had toiled, for many, many years and never even got a sniff, right? And then they ended up winning because I actually thought that we were going to come back. But my greatest moment was when my parents were interviewed by Phyllis George. I was like, I just want everybody to know who my parents were, that's all.
Oh, I love that so much. I would ask you, who is Marcus Allen, the person, right? Your philanthropic efforts, all these things that you've done, but
That's a complicated thing.
Yeah, I mean,
And especially of late.
so if I were to, and I've asked people this question too, at this very moment in time, if I'm asking you that right now.
I've always been a person that, I was one of the players that challenged the league for free agency and stuff. I was one of the named plaintiffs and stuff. So I've always sort of stood up. And I think sometimes I guess when you grow up or you become a man, is you do the right thing instead of the popular thing. Sometimes you don't really care what people say. A lot of times we want to be liked so much that we will do things and we will compromise ourselves and stuff. And so I never really, never wanted to do that. But the truth is, I've always said, knowing the truth is really important because you can make great decisions based on the truth.
Yeah.
But if you're making decisions based on lies, ultimately those things are gonna fall apart and
Right.
stuff. And a lot of us think the world is one way and it isn't. And we're making a lot of choices based on what we perceive
We
as
think, yeah.
yes, and they aren't. So I don't know. I'm looking for the truth. I mean, desperately searching for it.
Yeah. You work on that every day, right? Trying to figure it out.
Yes.
Yeah. Homework every day. Do you think you get that sense of confidence and not having to worry about other people from your parents? Did that start at the dinner table, or where did that come from, where you're able to just say, I push back on things and I'm okay with
Well, this
challenging
was
people?
interesting, and this is one of the things. I mean, I even tried to tell my son. I said, you know, if you don't agree with me, just, you know, let's have a debate, right? My father always gave me that option. He always said, if you don't agree with what I'm saying, okay, you know, stand up and talk, yeah. And so there it was. I mean, I was sort of a product of that.
I feel like because you speak up and the personality that you have, it was a good fit at the Raiders.
Well, when I first got to the Raiders, I was really smart. I'm gonna tell you, I was really smart. I clearly understood you're a Heisman Trophy winner. You get drafted in the first round. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of focus on you. I did not say one word. And if they would have had this draft, you know, as they do now, I would have not been one of those guys who gone out and bought all this jewelry and put on a suit. I wouldn't have not done that. I would have been the one that would have stayed home, would have been around the family and celebrated that way and drafted. And I went into camp again. I didn't say one word. I went in there and worked my butt off. Yeah. And right away, these veterans recognized that I could play. And then they, you know, not until then did I actually, you know, start showing personality and stuff like that. And because, you know, it's the one of the worst things you can do is come in and do a lot of talking.
Be boisterous and act like you know and you've never been
be
there.
narcissistic and
Yes.
stuff. And it's easy to do once you come off the success in college, and then everybody's saying how great you are. But everybody wasn't saying that I was great. So not that I had a lot to prove. I knew I could play because, you know, what I didn't understand is that these people are supposed to be, you know, professional, are supposed to be really good at their jobs,
Yeah,
right?
best of the best, right?
The best of the best in the National Football League. And if anybody understood anything about me was that I was in my infancy as a running back. I really just played running back or tailback, really, 2 years, and was able to do those things. So I felt like I was getting better and better, and the best years were ahead of me. And I was thinking to myself, these people don't have the ability or the the awareness of that, or not conscious of that, or not. I just didn't quite understand because there were a lot of articles about, oh, he went to USC, he has a great line, so he's just a product of the offensive line. Oh, there's one article I remember, it's like he'll be just an average back, and
They wanted to
yeah.
say what you were. They wanted to put a label on you.
And I
Off
was
of not
going
even
like,
seeing you.
right, and I was going like, man, these people don't know what they're talking about. But
No
I didn't
idea.
say that.
No, you kept it to yourself.
I kept it
right?
to myself, yeah.
Head
but-
down and got to work.
Right, I didn't say that, and then when I got drafted by the Raiders, this is a funny story, and I'm sure I said it before, but I got 2 calls, right? One, and I'm very diplomatic, one call was from the Houston Oilers, and they said, would you like to block for Earl Campbell? And I says, hopefully we can block for each other. That was my response, right? And then the next call was, I got a call from the Raiders. And they asked me this one, I call it a very strange question. How much do you weigh?
That was the first question.
No, that was the only question. And I told them I weighed 210 pounds. And they said, okay, bye. Next thing I know, the Raiders, with the 10th pick, select Marcus Allen, right? And I'm sitting there just going, wow, the Raiders, right? And now they're moving to Los Angeles. I'm going
Right.
like, I mean, how lucky can a guy get?
And that's what you said, I can play in LA when you were a kid.
Yes. So it was,
Another magic moment.
yeah. So it's like, are you kidding me? But prior to that, I remember Paul McGuire was on the ESPN telecast. And he made no sense. And I end up, I like Paul, by the way, and they end up making fun, I end up getting on his case and stuff. But he says, I don't know why the Raiders are drafting this guy, right? He's not, maybe they're moving him to wide receiver. He said it wasn't fast enough, but maybe they're moving to wide receiver. Who moves a guy to wide receiver if he's not
When he's
fast
not
enough?
fast enough.
So I was going like, oh gosh, these people don't know what they're talking
Everyone
about.
has an opinion.
Everyone had one, but mine was the only one that mattered. So
Jump to 85 season. It's all happening. Everything leading up to it. You got MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, First Team All-Pro. Huge moments that you, as that 10-year-old, have worked to get to that.
I wanted to go back and tell you that I did want to win the Rookie of the Year, and then I said I wanted to win Super Bowl MVP too. When I listen here, like I said, you put that stuff out in the universe, and then if you work towards it, and you believe in it, I guess it happens. So, and then I wanted to be league MVP. I wanted to be. My goal was to be one of. My ultimate goal was to be one of the best players that ever played.
Right.
But I also wanted to be, the MVP of the league, and so I had the opportunity. And 85 was just a great year. My attitude was there was nobody on the field who was going to be better than me, and I understood there was guys always stronger, faster, bigger, and stuff, but nobody was gonna be tougher, smarter, and outwork me, and have more desire than me. So that's how I approached me playing in the National Football League.
Other players that you were around, I mean, there's a list of names. I've talked to a few of these guys that will go down in history. You've got Tim Brown and Howie Long, Jim Plunkett, Cliff Branch, rest in peace, Bo Jackson, Lofton, we talked about James, Todd Christensen, Mike Haynes, who I've talked to recently as well, and the list, again, goes on and on.
There's one in particular that you haven't mentioned, and to me, he was one of the greatest players that ever played, was Ted Hendricks. But Ted was really instrumental my rookie season. What I started to do was, when they called timeout, I started to walk over with Jim Plunkett and stand there next to him and listen to what they were discussing on the sidelines, what play they were going to call. And this one particular time, they said they didn't know what to call. They were just like, and Ted Hendricks was standing there by and said, "Just give the ball to Marcus." And as a rookie, my confidence, Ted Hendricks said that, and that elevated my confidence like you would not believe.
Wow, he vouched for you.
He validated me. Yes, and he, that was acceptance, and because he was, I used to watch him when he was at Baltimore, and he was the mad stork, and now he, to come to, Los Angeles and play with him, where he turned into kick 'em.
Yeah. And to have him say,
he says, just give Marcus the ball, and that was my rookie season.
Wow.
That man, my confidence shot way up.
What did you learn about yourself as not just a player, but also as a human being, as a man during that time? There's growth, right, once you go into the NFL, but wearing the silver and black specifically, what did you learn about yourself in those early years?
I know that what I learned was, as in Rome, it was the Romans. So I could play, and the Raiders had a reputation, and not that I ever, did anything to warrant that, but I could play just as hard and as rough, and I didn't know any other way, especially when it be great, you give it everything you have.
You have to, you leave it all out there.
Yeah, and really you never concern yourself. See, injury was not something I ever thought about, right?
Yeah.
I never thought about that. And then when you play running back and you play 16 years and you understand that almost every play you come in within a millimeter of getting hurt, whether you're pass blocking and somebody falls
Yeah.
right near your legs and, could have hit your knee and your knee could have went in and you could have been,
That could have been it.
yeah. So it's like, you realize that, maybe that's not meant to be. And then there was times that I did actually hurt my knee. I remember playing Houston, which was one of the worst fields in the National Football League, and it should have been criminal for us to play in that field because they had those, those seams that were like almost this wide of the cutout of second base and stuff like that. I mean, I made a cut, nobody touched me, and I popped my posterior. I mean, that was just, it was, I don't, you talk about, taking care of your product, your players and stuff like that. And then in turn, you had us playing on fields like that. Just just ludicrous.
Yeah.
Didn't
Like
quite
you said,
understand that.
it wasn't from a play. You hurt, yeah.
No, nobody, I
It's
made
that
a cut
field.
and nobody touched me, and it was just a terrible field.
Let's talk about happy time then.
Okay.
No injuries, no more injuries.
No.
The shirt that I have on right now. What was that locker room like during that game, that Super Bowl game?
Okay, I remember coming in. You know about the story, right? From the.
Let me see. Tell me.
You know,
Start it off.
you know about the story with the rental car, right?
I think I do. Yes.
Okay.
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 Yes. Yes.
All right. First night, I had the greatest night's sleep you can possibly have. Who has the greatest night's sleep, especially before a game? And it should be nerve-wracking, but that wasn't the case. So I had the greatest night's sleep. I go downstairs, and my feet aren't touching the ground. They're really not touching the ground. I'm just like floating, right? And we have pregame meal, and I don't know if we had like a little meeting. I can't remember.
Did you eat?
Oh yeah, I
You
ate.
did? So no nerves.
No. I mean, back in the day, it was like steak and eggs. I mean, it's amazing how nutrition has sort of evolved, stuff like that. But it was steak and eggs. I do remember that. And then Otis McKinney and I end up going to the game. But normally what happens is, if you want to go to the stadium early, right, you would catch back then you would catch a cab, right, if you didn't want to catch the early bus, right, because some people wanted to go there really early, right? And I didn't know any better. This is my first Super Bowl. We took the rental car, right? And so we pulled up to the parking attendant, and I said, "Excuse me, man, we're at the Raiders. We're playing in today's game. Where do we park?" She says, "You got a parking pass?" I says, "No." She said, "Well, you can't get in." I said, "Ma'am, no, seriously.
I'm on the
Yeah, we're playing in today's game, and we need to get in." She says, "I don't care who you guys are. If you don't have a parking pass, you guys can't get in." So I backed the car up, pulled it against the curb. I looked at Otis. He looked at me. I grabbed my bag. He grabbed his bag. We took off running to the locker room, and to this day, don't know what happened to the rent-a-car. No, we left it out there.
You went back? It never saw it again? That was.
Oh, I mean, was it? No.
You're like, I just got to get to the game.
We ran to the locker room. And so I get into the locker room, and guys are doing their typical stuff, right? Some guys are smoking, right?
Okay.
Which was like, when I first saw that in the National Football, I could go like, wow, this
Different times.
this is not what I expected, but some guys smoked and stuff. And then, there were some guys that were playing Crazy Eights. That was the card game, right?
Yeah.
Way to relax. And some guys were listening to music. And I just kind of walked in and just kind of smiled at everything. Just kind of like taking it all in and stuff. And just kind of kept to myself and stuff like that, but just had a real kind of smile on my face. And then I remember going, they called us up and there was player introductions and stuff, and I think the second to the last. I think Plunkett was the last. And I remember running out, and I swear I don't remember my feet touching the ground. I feel like I was just floating.
Wow.
So it was great. And then I remember maybe like the third time I touched it, I fumbled it, right? And it was like no panic, which was like kind of crazy because, I mean, you fumble in the Super Bowl, you're like, you're supposed to go like nuts. I remember it rolling away from me, and it was in slow motion too. And I can see the commissioner's name, Roselle, on it, just kind of like rolling. And Frank Hawkins jumps on it. And I just look at it and just walk back to the huddle like it was no big deal. And but it was a crazy game. And I know you asked about the post game, but it was just so much joy, and it was so crazy. And again, I was more happy for the older players, right? And because I thought like, well, this is this is the first of many for me.
That's for yourself. That's what you're
yes,
thinking,
I
yeah.
thought, well, we're going to be back with the kind of talent we have, but it never happened again. But it was crazy in the locker room, and I know Lyle was crying. I think Todd Christensen was crying. I mean, tears of joy though. There's just.
Did you cry?
No, I didn't cry.
You're still so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually young, enjoying it, and I'm thinking about everybody else and not myself.
So very selfless.
Well, I mean, I was always a good teammate.
On that field, who gave you the most trouble? What defensive player gave you the most trouble? And who did you have the most fun going
but
against?
this is like, okay, let's talk about who I hated to go against. I hated to go against guys that were my friends.
Ah.
Right? I hated to go against Ronnie Lott because we were roommates, right? And Ronnie would not, he was a stone cold professional. I mean, he would try to kill me, right? Yeah. And, but I remember like going up against Dennis Smith. It was like, I ended up fumbling the ball and Dennis recovered. I mean, how does that happen? That's not supposed to happen, right? So I didn't like to go against my friends. I got to the point where before the game, usually I would go up and like, we talk, man, I shake hands, we'll play well and stuff like that. And after a fumble or two, I start saying, hey man, hey, have a good game. I wouldn't even go near him, right? I would just say hello from a distance and stuff like that. But listen here, this is really important. As a player, there are no challenges out there other than surpassing you, going further than you've gone before.
Okay. This is also you. This is a nickname. I did some little research behind the scenes. You ready for this?
Oh, yeah, because I don't have a clue.
Are you sweating yet? Who's Cuddy?
Listen here, I know most people think it's like, first of all, I don't drink, so they would think Cuddy Shark or something like that. Cuddy Sark is what it is? See, I don't even know what it is.
Cuddy,
right?
Is it Sark? Is it Sark?
I don't even know. It's like, I guess I would make some drastic cuts and they would say Cuddy. I don't know.
That's how you got Cuddy?
Yeah, I never quite understood. I just went with it, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, it sounded cool.
Does anyone still call you that name?
No. I mean, when I was growing up, they used to call me Casper because I guess I was really light-skinned. This is all a tan. I mean, if you notice that this is really light. So, I mean, this is all a tan. And so I was so light, they used to call me Casper, and I never quite understood. Yeah.
Really?
When I was young, yeah. And so that, I mean, I really didn't have a lot of, those were the two, I guess. But Cuddy sounded good because it was,
It's
I thought
cool.
it was, yeah, I thought it was all because, the way I ran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the cool part too, you talk about your runs and just watching you out there and the cuts that you made, the jumps and the leaps and bounds, like you said, by any means necessary.
Yeah. I was a little bit crazy.
You like looking at stills from back in the day when you're in there jumping, leaping, all those moves. You're like, I was the guy.
You know what we used to do, and I was born the year of the rat, right? And so, guys, every Monday we would go back and review the tape, and somebody said, "How'd you do that?" Right? And I've always said, if some running back says, "Oh, well, I was thinking about this, I was thinking about that," I say he's full of it, right? Because
He didn't plan that out.
you listen here. If you don't play on instinct, man, I mean, the honest answer is I don't know. So a lot of things that I would do, I would go back and say, "Damn." Right? I mean, I did some stuff that was like, I just did it. I didn't have an answer for it. It just a reaction, just instinct, just and I didn't have, I didn't try to copy anybody, their style. Some people say I used to run like the juice, but I was like, no, I was just, this is how I ran. And So when I look back, it's like, I just wanted to be as instinctive as possible. Playing the game, I always say there's two types of players, those who know and those who don't, right? So you got to be really intelligent about the game. And when you run plays, you know exactly if it's an over defense, an under defense, you know what your guys are doing, whether it's a power play over an under defense, rather, it's a little, you know, the power plays they're gonna double team the defensive tackle, and the fullback's gonna kick out on a linebacker, and you know the play's just a little bit wider, right? And if it's a wide defense, they're gonna double team the defensive tackle, so the play's gonna be a little bit tighter. Those things you know, right? You know what to anticipate, but there's never a guarantee. You have to know what to anticipate, but you still have to be instinctive enough to say, okay, this is where the play should be, so I'm going in that direction, but it may not end up that way.
Right.
And part of that is, when I came here, Ray Wilsey, I love Ray Wilsey. Ray Wilsey passed, and I didn't know. I was so sad and disappointed. Ray was my running back coach my rookie season. Ray did not, I don't think he was a running back coach by trade. So he didn't pretend to be an expert, you know?
Right.
And what he did for me was complete and total liberation. He says, Marcus, he never used the word don't. He says, Marcus, now you can reverse field, just make sure you know down and distance. Make sure you know the situation of the game. So that allowed me to play so free as a rookie. I never looked over my shoulder, because he never told me not to. He never says don't do this or that. He says, Marcus, make sure. And so I played the game just as free as I possibly can. And he's one of my favorite coaches that most people wouldn't know about, but my rookie season coming in, because a young person hangs on every single word, because, you know, this is the collegiate level, right? And you think the professional guys certainly, you know, more knowledgeable and better coaches than the collegiate guys. So you hang on every single word because you want to endear yourself to the staff, and you want to know as much as possible. So, but Ray just completely, I mean, all that reverse field and all that other stuff, that was because Ray never told me not to.
Yeah, he gave you.
Yes. He just
That's
used those
so many
magic
good
words.
moments.
He says, make sure.
And that stuck with you.
Yes.
And that was the green light.
It really was.
I'm sure I know the answer to this. Do you miss the locker room the most, would you say? Is that one of those?
The locker room is really the only thing you miss.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I mean, after playing 16 years, you say, okay, listen, I got it all out the way. That's why we like golf so much.
Everyone's back together.
It is our
hanging.
modern day locker room.
Yeah.
It is our, our hangout. It's where we, and this is really interesting, it's where we talk, a little trash, or we have fun, but at the same time, we lift guys up if they're going through things, you know what I mean? So, but it's us hanging out
Brotherhood.
and enjoying each other and stuff, and that's why the reunion is so important.
Absolutely.
Once I came back for one, I said I won't miss another.
No more.
No.
Keep going.
It's actually been a great honor. I got to tell you what, I've been very.
Coming to the games and.
Well, no. The alumni deal. I finally got Howie back.
I know, that was special.
He was so happy.
You convinced him to come back or what? Because I know.
I twist a lot. I get a lot. I got Dickerson here. Dickerson leaves, and he goes like, man, how can we duplicate this with the Rams? And I said, Dick, it'll never happen. I said, because you don't have an owner like Mark Davis. Nobody cares. They don't care. Yeah. And he came back here and he says, oh my God, dude, you guys got, and they take care of you guys too, and they do all this. And I said, yeah, special.
Definitely
and so
special.
he was blown away. So I got him to come. I got Terry Robisky to come.
Yeah. He's a character.
Oh, Terry is.
We love Terry.
Terry's got a lot of stories up there.
Oh, so many stories.
Yeah, we got a lot.
And Howie was great. It was cool to see him, and the fans were excited to see him as well too, because he hadn't been here. So it's nice that, you reached out to him?
Howie?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah. Then I called up Mikhail and got him back here. And
Yeah.
I got Greg Pruitt back here. Yeah.
Still.
I don't accept no for an
leading.
answer.
Still
Well,
leading.
because I know what's good for those guys. And this is chicken soup for the soul. I mean, for them to catch
Yeah.
it with their teammates, and they have no idea. I'm gonna give you a great example. Steve Strahan. I was at a golf tournament in North Carolina, right? Some guy, and I hate when people do this, but I wish they would just say, I'm a friend of Steve Strahan. I'm saying, oh, great, you know. They say, hey, do you know Steve Strahan? I'm going like, whatever.
Really?
Of course I know Steve, right? He said, you know, he doesn't live too far from here. I said, what? Are you kidding me? I said, do you have his number? Call him up. So I called him on the phone, and Steve came over. Man, it was just great seeing him, right? And then he brought his 2 sons with him and stuff. And then I kept telling Steve, you got to go back to the Raider reunion. And he honestly thought, man, nobody cares. He came back, and he could not believe how he was embraced by his team. And it's just, and that's the overwhelming feeling that most of these guys get. They don't understand or believe that guys, you know, even remember them, let alone care about them. You know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy. And so we come back when he had a great time, and Howie came back for the first time, and he really loved it. So I was happy because.
You look like you had a good time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The torch is very special.
Yes.
It is something people look forward to, obviously, every game when they come here. When you were asked by Mark Davis to light the torch and come and do that, how did that conversation happen? What did that look like? And
First of all, I didn't hesitate at all, and I said yes.
immediately.
Well, I'm not one person that, I'm not the kind of person that likes to live in negativity, right? Mark and I always had a great relationship. Mark's mom and I always had a great relationship.
Mrs. Davis.
Yeah, I had a bad relationship with Al. So I was not going to let that stop me from, I believe, my rightful place, but also my relationships that were important to me that I had for over 11-year period.
Yeah.
You just don't forget those kind of things. And again, there were some people that said, no, you should never go back. And I'm going, no, that's the popular thing to do, right? The right thing to do is to go back and like that, because we didn't get along. Doesn't mean I didn't admire Al. I didn't mean I thanked him for drafting me.
Right.
I thanked him, right, at my Hall of Fame speech. I'm here because I want to be here. I've always loved the Raiders. Matter of fact, I never wanted to play for any other team. I had no other choice. So when I was able to come back and he offered me the opportunity, I jumped at it and was very thankful and glad that I did, because, again, I think my rightful place is here. And again, there's no other place I wanted to be, but it didn't work out that way. But Mark gave me that opportunity, and loved the organization. I was wondering how the fan base was going to accept me. That was in Oakland, right? So that was a different fan base.
Different
Again,
fan base,
maybe,
and-
yeah, I'm the enemy now. And now it's like, okay, when I come back, but I was gonna step into the fire,
Yeah.
and that did not matter. And again, I think once, but most people don't. They're angry for really no reason, because they don't understand. They just think because they don't know. They don't know all the details of what happened.
What's going on,
and not
yeah.
should we go through every single, I'm not gonna peel back all the onions, you know what I mean? So, so they're limited in what they know, so they get upset and go like, I really had no other choice. I really didn't want to play there. Oh yeah, seriously, I didn't even want. I didn't even want to play there. It was like I didn't want to play against Howie and those guys.
Yeah.
It's awkward. When my first game against them was like, oh my God, this is
what
weird.
is happening?
Yeah, this is weird.
Take me back. Go-to karaoke song for you.
If there was a song that I
Yeah.
would sing, because I always did sing. There was what was that? Keep on pushing. Yeah.
Say it again.
I think was that the Impressions? I think it was.
That was
Curtis
just,
Mayfield?
okay, that was
No,
just,
I was singing to myself and stuff.
But if I had a song today, while I was sing, while I was playing, it would probably be "Win" by Brian McKnight. Yeah, I would probably sing that because I sing that in my head. I even sing
you
that
have a
when
good
I'm
voice.
not playing. Yeah.
You have a good voice.
Well, I mean, I can't sing right now though.
Oh.
But it was like dark as the night. I can weather the storm. Never say die. Been down this road. See, the words are very important. Been down this road before. I'll never quit. I'll never go down. 'Cause I promised myself that I'd never let me down. 'Cause I'll never give up, never give in, never let a ray of doubt slip in. And if I fall, I'll never fail. Just get up and try again. Never lose hope, never lose faith. There's much too much at stake. Upon myself I must depend. I'm not looking for place or show. I'm gonna win. So that would be a song that I would sing.
Oh! My
So,
new accolade is
yeah.
that no one else has been serenaded by Marcus Allen. And don't tell me if you have sang to other people.
And
It is mine.
So I would sing that when I was stretching. Keep on pushing. Wow.
I'm getting our Pilates
Can't
playlist
stop
together.
now. So that's what I would do. Yeah. Music is like, that's why a great national anthem. Oh man, Jeffrey Osborne would like take you. You were like ready
You're
to play.
ready to go, right?
Oh yeah, it's
You get
on
the
now, right?
chills.
We were like 9-0 or something with Jeffrey. Yeah, he was good.
Jeffrey
Yeah.
deserved
And
a
that's why music
honor
is
too for that.
music is like it's one of the truest art forms
Yeah.
that really gets you elevated and stuff. But I think you got to have something. You got to have some sort of a mechanism that gets
Yeah.
you either put you at peace, all right,
Or
or
get you.
elevate you when times are trying. But the words. I'll never give up. I'll never give in. I'll never let a ray of doubt slip in. And if I fall, I'll never fail. I'll get up and try again. I'll never lose hope. I'll never lose faith. There's much too much at stake. Upon myself, I must depend.
Yep.
I'm
On
not
myself,
looking.
I must
Yeah.
depend.
I'm not looking for place or show. I'm looking to win.
And you did.
That was it.
I love how that just so easily came out of your mouth. You just sing. You're like, I'm not going to do that today, and then
No, I didn't know. I didn't know if I
Just
could know
ready to
because
go.
I could actually start warming up a little
Yeah,
bit.
you-
So it was all right. I was going
man
like.
didn't need tea, honey, nothing. You're ready to go.
Yeah,
Thank you
well.
for sharing that. Thank you for hanging out with us.
My pleasure.
Wasn't this
I mean,
great?
music is, yeah.
Are you going to come back?
Anytime you need me.
Oh,
All right. You got to sing a song with me though.
do you want to say anything to Raider Nation? We're sharing our camera. Go ahead.
Raider
mine.
Nation. I love Raider Nation. That's all I got to say.
Period.
That's all.
He just dropped the mic. He sang for us. He told us stories.
Keep on pushing.
Yeah, keep on pushing.
That's
you heard
right.
the man.
Can't
Mr.
stop now.
Marcus Allen, right here with us.
Move up a little higher, some way, somehow. Oh yeah, 'cause I got my pride. Move the wall aside and gotta keep on pushing.
Oh,
Hey.
we're going strutting tonight. We are going out. We're going to go strut out of this hotel right now. Raider Nation, we love you. We'll see you next time right here on Raiders Talk of the Nation.
Silver black.